Merry Christmas!
It's Christmas!
Bet you didn't think you'd be hearing from these goobers today.
I know, on this most sacred of day.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
We wish you a merry... Oh, I forget the rest. Here we are. It's Christmas.
Yeah. We thought you deserved a special Christmas present.
Something spooky in your stocking.
Because everyone loves it. It's a difficult time of year, being with your family who don't understand your interests. So, we're here to perk you up.
When you get fed up of all the chat at Christmas dinner, just pop a wee headphone in. You know?
Yeah, like fully making eye contact with the person bugging you. Just look them in the face, stare them down, pick up your headphones, put them on, and just zone out.
Zone out. Get some spooking.
We are recording this ahead of time.
Yes, we are.
We haven't jumped away from our families to record an episode.
Yeah, we haven't bailed on the Christmas activities.
I don't think my mum would forgive me.
No, I don't think so. We might not be invited back if we did that.
Well, yeah, this is our kind of Christmas special.
Yeah.
But not really, because we don't talk about anything to do with Christmas.
No. It's a little bit different. We'll get into the details, but we're swapping spooky stories that we found online.
Yes.
Which is exciting.
Which is something we like to do just between us on Halloween.
Yeah, this was actually a Halloween tradition, and we recorded the original. We've recorded this intro now, but the original spooky story swapping we recorded on Halloween.
Yeah.
Because we were getting ready to celebrate our tradition, and we thought, oh, we should record this. And we didn't get organised to release it on Halloween, so we thought we'd save it. And now it's the perfect time. A little Christmas spooky present.
You are welcome.
Generally from us to you.
Generally
spooking. That's how it goes.
Generally spooking.
Mm-hmm. It's a little Christmas gift for you.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Christmas is ruined.
We need a name for our listeners,
A name.
Because spookers sounds like boogers. And generalizers is just a bit weird. Spooky acts, it's tough.
I don't know.
We'll just call you our wonderful listeners for now.
You are wonderful.
Till we come up with something suitable.
Now, did you hear how well you were able to hear us calling you wonderful?
How crisp.
The reason for that is that some of you have been even more wonderful than, we could ever have expected, and donated some money to the podcast, and we bought new microphones.
Yes, we did. So thank you to you wonderful humans who know who you are, and I'm sure you're listening. Maybe not on Christmas Day. We'll forgive you if you're not listening on Christmas Day. But thank you so much for your donations that have helped us get these awesome microphones.
It means the world to us. It really does.
Yeah. It's actual madness. And to reward your awesomeness, not just getting to hear us better, but we have some excitement coming next year.
We have so much in the works for you guys. You don't even know.
You don't even know.
You don't even know.
Because we haven't told you.
Yeah, that's why we're about to tell you. Because then you'll know.
And next year is in 2022.
Yes. As of 2022, we are bringing you, first of all, generally spooky merch.
Woo!
We've been working with a graphic designer, and we have some merch. We have some really cool designs, and we can't wait to show it to you. There's going to be all kinds of things.
Yep.
We will be releasing that over on the Instagram feed, most likely. So be sure to follow us over on Instagram at Generally Spooky.
Yep.
That's where we'll be releasing all official dates and merch designs and everything like that.
Yep. A GSP t-shirt's coming your way.
I know. I can't wait to have one.
I know. I really want, even if no one buys one, I'm going to have one.
I'll wear it all the time.
Absolutely. And then we'll smell and no one will want to come near us.
Oh.
But that's okay.
At least we'll have each other.
Exactly. And that's not the only exciting thing.
I know. You guys don't even know.
Multiple excitements.
Do you want to announce it?
Sure. Early February in 2022, we're going to be releasing a Patreon page where you're going to get even more generally spooky content.
You're going to be so sick of us.
Yep.
So sick of us. Over on the Patreon, we are going to be releasing lots and lots of extra content and all different kinds of tiers. So you'll get all kinds of perks, like getting episodes a week early to whole new shows that will only be available on the Patreon. We're going to have a book club where we're going to be reading a book together. Mm-hmm. And that's just one thing. That's just one thing.
There's another show in the works, which will be a much more casual chat with us, but we haven't worked out all the details yet.
We're also hoping to have a whole bank of mini episodes that if you subscribe to the Patreon, you'll have access to listen to whenever you like. So stay tuned for that. Kieran said it's early February.
Yeah, we haven't fleshed out the details yet, but by then we will have, so it's fine. And you can subscribe to us to get even more of the generally spooky Kieran and Eilidh goodness you've grown accustomed to.
We're so excited.
Yeah,
we're so excited for everything. It's going to be so good.
It's going to be amazing.
So that's all of our news.
That's the update. Mm-hmm. This episode you're about to listen to was recorded on the old microphones, by the way.
Yes, so expect a change.
Yeah. And then if you hear the difference, you can be like, oh, that is so much better. Hopefully. That'd be embarrassing otherwise.
Well, I think we should roll the music.
I think so.
And hand over to Kieran and Eilidh from the past.
Ghost Kieran and Eilidh, if you will.
Yeah, well, it's on Halloween. That makes total sense.
It checks out.
We love and appreciate you guys so much.
We do. You're all amazing. Everyone who listens.
Thank you for everything. And we really hope you have a great Christmas and you have a great Hogmanay. Mm-hmm. And we're so looking forward to spending more time with you in 2022.
We are. For now, we'll say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
What do we say when it's not an official episode?
Well, we can still welcome you to the Generally Spooky podcast, thankfully.
But we've never done this before.
I know, this is new. New.
We don't even know when you're going to get to hear this.
I don't know. But we thought we'd record it just to have it, because it's a fun thing we like to do at Halloween.
Yes, this is kind of becoming a Halloween tradition for us.
This will be the second year, so that's on its way to becoming a tradition.
Becoming. Because tomorrow is Halloween.
Yeah.
2021.
Yep.
And we felt like getting spooky.
It's getting spooky.
Would you like to explain to the people?
Sure.
What we're about to do?
So every year, for last year and this year.
So last year,
to get a little spooky for the Halloween season, we decided to find some spooky stories on Reddit that people have told and shared, and then read them out to each other. So we have 5 stories each. Well, Eilidh has 6 stories.
Because I'm an overachiever.
Literally what I was about to say. The words out of my mouth. Overachiever. And then we read these 5 stories to each other.
To try and creep each other out.
Yeah, to get a little spooky.
We had some good ones last year. I may even try and find mine from last year.
That'd be fun.
We could do this again.
I remember I had one where a guy drove through this really weird, ominous cloud and got blood all over his windscreen. And it turned out to be a giant swarm of bees. That was pretty weird.
Awful.
That was weird.
Don't say any more though, because if we find them, we could record another one of these.
We could, potentially.
Including that story. That could be a little teaser. If you've enjoyed this, you'll enjoy our 2020 vintage.
Yeah.
Of spooky Reddit stories that we're telling each other. So yeah, we're really just doing this for each other.
Yeah, it's just a bit of fun.
Because we like to do it.
Yeah. So, since you have 6 stories, you should go first.
And then I'll also go last.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because you're a fool of a took.
Yes, I am. I was convinced that 5 wouldn't be enough and wouldn't be good enough and wouldn't be long enough. So I have 6.
Yeah, I was like, let's get 5 each. And you were like, sure, I've got 6 now, just in case. I'm like, in case of what? Like, in case...
In case of emergencies.
You delete one?
Spooky emergencies.
You get so spooked out you can't finish one and have to skip to the next one.
You don't know what happened.
Maybe.
Do you want me to only tell 5?
Well, you've got 6 now. Might as well.
Okay.
Because I secretly have 7.
That would be really funny. But where does that end?
Well, exactly.
Okay, well, my first story is called The Visitor. True story time. I was about 4 or 5 years old and my parents had just separated. My mum was living in a 2-bedroom apartment. I had my own room, but I preferred to sleep in her bed whenever I was staying with her. Our 2 bedrooms were at the end of a hallway, directly across from each other. Our apartment was on the first floor, and I remember that it was in the middle of the summer and my mum had a window open in her room, which was directly behind the bed, so above the headboard. Anyways, I woke up in the middle of the night and remember sitting up and seeing that our cat was sitting in the door frame of my mum's room. Her door was open and you could partially see into my bedroom. This was strange because our cat was typically always in bed with us. As I was watching him, he walked into my bedroom and meowed. I turned to face my mum and wake her up. In the 3 or 4 seconds it took her to wake up and ask me what was wrong, we both looked back up in the doorframe and there was a man standing by my open door, making his way out of my bedroom. I still don't know how she managed to do it so quickly, but my mother proceeded to pick me up and literally throw me out of the screen window. Again, we were on the first floor and it was maybe a 3-foot drop to the ground. She quickly followed me and we were able to start screaming for help and someone called 911. The police came, but didn't see any signs of forced entry. Only that our front door was unlocked, which led them to believe the man must have exited that way. The strange thing was that my mum swore up and down that she had locked the door that night, with the deadbolt and the chain lock. About a week later, she was cleaning the kitchen and opened up our water heater closet and found a notebook with names and drawings, as well as a pair of gloves and some gum wrappers. The police were called again, but all they could do was speculate that the man had been in our house and hid until we were asleep.
Grim.
And there were a couple of edits. She said, just to clarify, our apartment was on the ground level, so my mother didn't hurl me into potential paralysis. And the only potential sign that something was wrong was that my mum noticed someone stealing her lady garments out of the communal washing machines for a few weeks prior to the incident.
Ooh.
This was in the early 90s, so security cameras weren't too common in apartment areas. The theft stopped after the break-in.
Oh, God. That's horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely horrendous. Because I thought it was going to be, and no one was there. But there was
it's
actually
even worse
someone.
than that.
Oh,
someone
God.
was there.
Oh.
And had come out of this woman's child's bedroom. How awful is that?
That's horrendous. Oh.
It gave me the bulk.
Yeah,
big time.
That is bulk worthy. With it. Quick thinking though.
Just threw her child out the window.
Shooped out the window. Like without a word of hope.
That's like your parent reflexes, just like not even thinking, just instinctual, I bet, at that point. If you're throwing your children out windows.
Crazy.
No.
There's instincts in a story I didn't copy down, but I read.
Oh, yeah? It
was 2 women, because it wasn't written very well, but a daughter and her mum went camping, and up at this campsite up a mountain by themselves. It was fine, they were having a good time. And a big truck full of men appeared, and then the mum just like chatted to them a bit, and they all had a laugh. Then the men left, like, oh, sweet, yeah, fine, just chatting, friendly, no locals and that. And then that night, they heard steps coming round their tent, or they heard a car pull up, and then someone was walking around the tent, and they started undoing the zipper, and the daughter heard it, and we were like, oh, Mum! And the mum woke up and immediately just went like, James, get the gun! Because that was her husband's name, who wasn't there, and the guy scarpered.
Oh my God.
But that's just, like, Insta reactions.
God. Okay, your go.
What? I think I would have been out there. I mean, presumably they're quite friendly, the people in the truck. Like, oh, sweet, so you're just camping out here alone, you guys? Okay, sweet, bye. We're just going to go home now. Pretending to walk away.
You never tell anyone you're just on your own. Ever.
Well, this is my actual story. It's kind of on that theme. So that was my pre-story. It's called Hey, Mr. Bagman.
Give me your banana.
Daylight come. It was weird me telling a story.
I know. This might be the first time you've done it. It's good fun. You're going to love it.
I was camping in a valley by myself with no cell service.
First mistake.
A good start. I stayed late on a trail and ran into a nice local dude as it was getting dark. He showed me a local camping spot close to the road and the river, but camouflaged. I had a fire, drank beer, and listened to my friend's comedy podcast.
Not us.
I was loud and visible. Because it was dark already, I decided to sleep in the back of my truck, under my topper, next to all my gear, as opposed to setting up my tent. The next morning, I made a fire, cracked a beer, started making breakfast. Then I noticed there was a man at the edge of my camp. He comes closer, but never looks directly at me. This dude looks homeless, has long ratty beard, and has at least 100 plastic grocery bags tied all over his clothes. I comment about how nice the day is. No response from him. I offer him breakfast. Nothing. He sort of paces around the perimeter of my camp. I offer him a beer, but he just turns around. The dude is just standing there, back to me, wandering around. I'm realising that there isn't going to be any good happenings. I have my bear spray and buck knife super close. I gave him an ultimatum. Motherfucker, you are either going to acknowledge me or leave immediately. He ignores me. I grab the bear mace and walk a few steps towards him. He sulked away and I threw my shit in my truck and left that place right quick. I wonder if he had watched me during the night, and I thank my laziness for staying in my truck instead of in a tent.
Ooh, creepy.
How creepy is that?
Creepy.
Mr. Bagman just wandering round.
Ooh. That reminds me of that episode of My Favourite Murder.
Me too.
I can't remember which number the episode is, but they talk about these two men who go camping in the woods, and they meet this guy who looks like he's been living rough for a very long time. And it turns out that this guy is wanted for murders he's already committed, and he tries to kill them that night after sharing a meal with them and everything. And honest to God, it's one of the creepiest stories I've ever listened to. Only made creepier because it's entirely true.
Yeah, it was on I Survived or something?
Yeah, it was on the TV show I Survived. That's where they found the story. And then they talked about it on My Favourite Murder. Well,
when I was reading this, I thought it was that story at first.
It could have been. Yeah. It's very similar. Oh, God. It makes you never want to leave the house.
Right.
I love camping too. I really enjoy it. We did it loads growing up, but that makes me never want to go again. Ever.
I hope the guy who was camping found that local guy and just went, stop telling people to camp there. There is a nut job covered in plastic bags.
No more of that. What if they were in cahoots?
Oh, maybe.
Dun dun dun.
That'd be weird.
Ew.
I know, right?
Okay, well, my second one is called Good Girl.
Already weird.
I was sitting in my room after getting out of work on the second floor. Little brother is downstairs watching TV. The dog is in the hallway outside my door sleeping. All of a sudden, the dog starts making all kinds of racket, jumping around, barking, clacking nails, howling. I go to get up to see what's up, and I hear, "Oh, that's a good girl," in a male voice. It didn't sound like my little brother, so I go, "Oh, you're home early," thinking it's my dad's friend, who was also our roommate, as I open the door. As soon as I'm out there, there's no one at all, but the dog wagging her tail, staring at the empty end of the hallway.
Oh.
My little brother comes upstairs to yell at me for getting his dog all riled up, and said he heard the same voice, thinking it was me or our roommate. We did a once-over of the house with my butterfly knife and his BB gun, and there was nobody. Still gives me spooks to this day.
Yeah. That's weird. Mm-hmm. That's the next level of the dog freaking out at nothing.
Yeah. What gets me is the tail wagging and staring at the end of the hall. You know, like if a dog's tail's wagging, they're like excited and there's something that they're excited about. Mm-hmm. It's not just barking at a noise they've heard far away.
Yeah.
You know?
Looking expectantly.
Mm-hmm. But there's also a mini, follow-up story to this one that somebody replied to.
Oh, yeah?
Sharing their experience. So I thought I would include this one too, since that one was quite short. And this one is, my aunt experienced something similar to you. She was home alone when she heard someone open the door and walk in the hallway. Since her husband, my uncle, was not supposed to get home for a few hours, she went downstairs to see if someone was there. She didn't see anyone, but outside the door she saw footsteps in the snow, leading to the door, but not away from it.
Oh.
This made her nervous, and on a second glance, she saw an unfamiliar pair of shoes in the hallway. She ran and called the police, and when they came and searched through the house, they found a homeless man hiding in a storage room, holding my uncle's shotgun, but luckily he had not found the ammunition because it was hidden somewhere else.
Oh, fuck!
He was arrested, and according to my aunt, it's the scariest thing she's ever experienced.
Oh, that's bananas.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about it quite a lot when we watch, like, ghost hunting things.
Which we do fairly often. It's a really fun pastime.
Yep.
Because I quite enjoy watching them and listening to Kieran's roast.
I do get the rage. But I always say that I probably would be scared in these places with the lights off, but just because there could be another person there that you don't know about. Like that. Especially if it's somewhere abandoned. Like, well, what if there's some crazy homeless guy who just lives there for shelter?
Well, you have no idea who's around you.
Yeah, right? So
when it's dark and you're just outside.
Like, I wouldn't be afraid that there might be ghosts. I'd be afraid that there's a person there.
Well, there was one like ghost hunting show that I showed you on YouTube, because they're in this big old abandoned warehouse, and there's a guy who's just down in one of the basements, and like they see him, and you know, it's not a ghost, that's a person, and he's following them around and won't leave.
Yeah, like that's
a genuine threat.
Yeah, that's scary.
Really scary.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a 2-for-1.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, doesn't count as 2.
It still only counts as 1. But yeah, I thought that was a good follow-up. I thought it was a good, succinct paragraph.
I like that.
Because
it's a nice little addition.
Terrifying.
Yeah. Ooh.
And a lesson to be learned there. Don't keep your ammunition with your gun.
I know, eh? Or don't keep a gun.
I mean, depends where you live.
Yeah.
I would argue that there are some places in America where if you're super remote, you should have a gun.
Yeah.
Because, you know, bears.
Well, there's Ryan Holiday, an author, and he lives in Texas, but on like a ranch, and he has a gun to deal with rattlesnakes.
Yeah, I think there are arguments.
Yeah. And
to a point, if you live that remotely, I would argue have a gun for your safety.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if something were to happen, you're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody's going to be able to get to you in time if you live that far out, like you can in America, where you really are out in the wilds.
Out in the sticks.
I would say there's an argument.
And there's not enough care for the mentally ill, so you get these crazy homeless people about.
Yeah, it's really sad. Yeah.
Well, my next one's called Join the Party.
I will join your party, sir.
No, don't. It's dangerous.
I want to join your party.
But you're not allowed. No parties for you.
Oh, but it's Halloween.
I'm trying to tell a story.
Oh.
While at uni, my friends and I ran out of booze. Classic. Hardly any shops were open because it was late, so the only option was to walk a mile or so to the nearest 24-hour supermarket. Between the supermarket and the dorms we lived in was just row after row of suburban houses, which all looked the same. As we were walking down one road, we passed a field with a large campfire and some people riding horses around it. There were people playing musical instruments and general sounds of a good time going on. The horses and the fire and the lanterns, which were dotted about, gave it a very old-fashioned feel. Maybe 5 minutes after passing the field, now walking past houses again, one of my friends commented on how weird and out of place the gathering of people had been. My other friend and I had been thinking exactly the same thing, so, curious, we turned around and walked back to find out exactly what was going on. There was nothing there. Not just no people or horses, there was no field, just more and more houses. Even though we were absolutely certain we were on the right road, as we'd simply turned around, we walked up and down the neighbourhood roads too. We found nothing. We weren't drunk, though we had had some drinks, and so I've got absolutely no idea what happened that night.
Ooh, it's like a time jump.
Yeah. People in the comments were saying it's probably the fairy folk, or the fair folk, and that if they'd asked you to come and join them for some food, they wouldn't have been heard from again.
That is a thing. We are talking about the good folk, the fair folk. We haven't done an episode on them yet, but I'm excited to.
Yeah.
But you need to do it properly. Because they don't take no shit.
Yeah, that was pretty weird.
Oh, spooky.
What the hell was that? I don't know, should we go and see?
I love stories like that. See stories about like time jumps or falling into other dimensions and glitches in the I love it.
That's what one of the comments was. Glitch in the Matrix. Pretty weird.
Oh.
I thought it was just nice and spooky.
Oh, weird. That's really, really weird. If you also like stories about time jumps and things, I would highly recommend listening to Radio Rental, which is another spooky story podcast. And it is phenomenal. It's one of my favourite podcasts ever. But they have stories like that, and they're so good.
You've told me the stories you've listened to, and they are excellent.
Yeah, you know, rather than listening to us, you should go listen to Radio Rental. The guys over there really know what they're doing. Okay, you ready for my third one?
Yes.
My third story is called There's a Story There. There's an abandoned house next to mine. The previous owner moved out to California 25 years prior and never sold it. I got a flashlight, gloves, and pushed the window open and went inside, starting with the basement.
Very nice, very nice. Teenage boys be like.
In the basement was a grand piano, still plays but very much out of tune, old World War II stuff, what seemed to be a signed Elvis poster, and some other really cool shit no one would ever leave behind. There's basically a whole story in that basement, including a broken wedding picture frame and instruments everywhere. On the main floor was an unmade bed, mouldy food still in the fridge, and on the stove top, half-empty beers turned solid, lights that hadn't been turned off. Then I started walking upstairs, when I heard crying from one of the side rooms. That's when I freaked the fuck out and haven't been there since. Just abandoned.
There is a story there. That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Just left. Left in a hurry.
Bit sus.
Bit suspect.
Somebody left a comment on the story that I really enjoyed, saying, "You probably scared the fuck out of the squatters in that house, man." But yeah, just like food still there, lights on.
That's weird. Man, that fridge must be like another biome.
Yeah.
If there's food still in it.
And just super valuable things.
Yeah, that's weird. Why'd they get out of Dodge? Interesting. My next story is called Demon Barber.
Oh, I know this one.
He's
on Fleet Street.
No, not Fleet Street.
He's played by Johnny Depp.
Played pretty well too. I like that film. There's just a wee one.
A wee one.
A buddy picked me up to go to a couple bars, have a few drinks and whatnot. Everything was fine. I had a nice little drunk going on. Around 11 PM, I went outside to smoke a stogie. Stogie? I'm assuming it's a doob. Then, boom, I woke up in my house in my bed the following morning. I don't recall even leaving the bar, let alone how I returned home. I had multiple missed calls from my buddy, called him up to see what happened, and he just said I disappeared. The creepy part is, after I got off the phone with him, I went to the restroom to realise, some way, somehow, during the time I went MIA, I had received a haircut and someone shaved my face. Weird. I do my business, only to realise my wiggly bits have been groomed as well, with expertise precision, I must add. Not a missed hair, nick or cut. Still to this day don't know what happened, but upon sharing the story with other friends, I was spotted at other bars throughout the night, pre-haircut and alone.
Oh, he got spiked.
So he got spiked, and then...
Oh, that's a weird, creepy sex thing, I reckon.
Right?
Oh, that's bad.
Because that's to me, oh yeah, he got like roofied or something.
He absolutely got spiked with something.
But by like a barber?
That's terrifying. He could have died.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, that's awful.
Isn't it? So yeah, it's spooky, because, I mean, it's not... Something spooky didn't happen to him.
Oh, but I would say that's spooky for sure. Yeah. Oh.
Like he got drugged. But...
Oh, be safe out there, guys.
I know, right? I was saying in the UK, they're handing out spike testing kits, because there's been a rise in England of drink spiking. 200 cases in the last 2 months reported
it's really
or something.
Scary. There's people in Glasgow who are getting spiked by injection. That's the new thing.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's been like all over the news here for the past couple of weeks or so. Like people have noticed, like they've got marks on like mostly women have got marks on like the backs of their shoulders where they've been injected with something.
But this should go to show can be men too.
So oh yeah, absolutely.
Stay safe.
Just for the most part.
Yeah,
it's been women.
But yeah, how weird is that?
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would argue that's creepy. That's spooky, sorry. I think that's a spooky story.
Right? I think so. It's spooky.
Permitted, I'll allow it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll allow it.
Although there's the mystery's not where you'd expect the mystery to be.
I mean, it's made me shiver, so
yeah.
It counts. Okay, well, my fourth story is called The Farmer.
The Farmer. Inherently creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
Sorry?
Is it Farmer Maggot?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
No. Hashtag LOTR.
I've told this story before in another thread, but it fits here. My mother-in-law was a very funny and cool woman. She and my wife were really close, and sadly she passed away when our son was about 4 months old. Flash forward a few years. We live in an old 1930s era craftsman house in Pasadena, California. Our son was about 3 at the time. I was giving him a bath one night, and he starts looking over my shoulder. Not at random stuff, but at something. A moment passes, and he asks me why Grandma calls Mummy a funny name. Long pause. I asked him what he meant, thinking he was talking about my mum. He then says, why does Grandma call Mummy blank? Which was my mother-in-law's nickname for my wife. He hasn't given the nickname. I was really set back by this. My wife and I never used the nickname. It was just what her mum had called her since she was a baby. I asked him where he heard that. His reply, the farmer told me. I asked him who the farmer was, and he replied, his friend. I tell my wife this story later, and she's of course reduced to tears over the whole nickname thing. We both know there's no way for him to know this, and we just kind of marvel at it. Flash forward to the next weekend, and my son is playing in his room. My wife is at work, and I'm at home. I hear him start talking like he's having a conversation. He's saying things like, yes, no, I don't know that, then some laughing. I go into his room and ask what he's doing, and he says he's playing. I ask with who? He says the farmer. At this point, I'm already thinking about the fucking Exorcist movie. It's a little unsettling. I ask him where the farmer is. He says he left when I came in. The fuck? So my wife gets home and I tell her this, and now she's just as weirded out as I am. We have no idea what to do and figure if it happens again, we'll do something. A few days later, in the middle of the night, we both overhear our son saying the following. Grandma says, you and I can't be friends anymore. My wife and I go to check on him, both of us really freaked.
Oh, shivers.
He's just sitting up in bed. I ask if he's okay, and he says, yeah, but Grandma says I can't play with the farmer anymore. He never once mentioned the farmer again.
Oh.
Not ever. He's 13 now and doesn't remember any of it. We do, though.
Oh, that's creepy. That's proper chills.
Mm-hmm. So creepy.
So creepy and spooky and weird.
It's a goodie.
It's a goodie.
It's definitely like top tier of all the stories we've told each other doing this. That is a top tier story.
That is a top tier spooky story.
But I've read lots of stories about kids doing that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, just like being like talking about relatives that they've never met who have like died. I've read loads of stories where that's happened.
That's weird. Because my natural like reaction is, well, like he must have just overheard, because like kids can listen more than you think they are.
Yeah.
So you say something in passing and then kind of forget you've said it, but then they remember, and it'll be like weeks later. They then ask you about it, and you're like, whoa, where did you hear that from?
Maybe.
That's kind of what I think, but...
My only counter to that is that if it's the nickname her mum called her, it would probably be painful to either talk about or have someone call you that name.
Yeah.
And he was only 3.
I know, that's really weird. It's very spooky regardless. Yeah. Who's the farmer? I think it's the farmer of souls.
Oh. Just really creepy.
Very creepy.
You should always be wary of your child's imaginary friends.
Yeah, unless it's a tiger.
Then it's okay.
Then it's Hobbs and it's probably fine.
Then it's okay. He has their best interest at heart if it's a tiger. Mm-hmm. If it's a farmer, then you need a sage or something.
Yeah.
Ugh. I got you with that one.
You did, that was a good one. My next one's called Fireball, and it's just a bit weird.
Okay.
When I was 14 or so, my cousins and I were going down to the lake to go swimming, as we pretty much lived in the lake during the summer. I had just walked out of the door, facing south, and this massive fireball comes over the horizon, travelling a south to north, pretty much perfectly south to north, trajectory, goes over the house. We wait a few seconds and hear a massive crash miles away. I called my mum and she told me to hang up immediately and call the police. I did, and once I told her, the dispatcher turns from the mic and yelled, "We have another one!" Turns out over 500 people saw and reported the fireball. No planes were scheduled in the area. All flight craft were accounted for, and no meteorite was tracked in that area. It was in the local paper, and as far as I know, there have never been any actual explanation to it. No wreckage, debris, nothing. Just half a town reporting a fireball that by all records was never actually there.
That's so weird.
And he said his town was Eilidh, MN, Minnesota?
Probably Minnesota, yeah.
I lived on the north side of Shagawa Lake.
Wow.
That's pretty weird, isn't it?
What would you even do?
I know.
What could you do?
It's a bit like, it would, if I was more of a conspiracy theorist, I'd be like, aliens!
Well, to me, it's a meteorite that they didn't see.
Yeah, they missed, and then...
That's my first thought.
Nobody found where it crashed.
Yeah. Like, maybe it wasn't that big, or maybe it, like, broke up as it crashed or something. I don't know.
Well, I wonder, because when I hear of it, I've got this, like, giant fireball in my head. But, you know, any size of fireball would be pretty weird.
That's so strange.
Isn't it?
To not find anything.
I know, nothing.
Creepy.
I thought it was a bit weird. Just made me go, oh.
Well, yeah, because I don't even know what you would do.
Yeah, what could you do? Well, apart from phone your mum. Don't phone me, phone the police. Well, I wanted to see what to do.
Mum!
Mum, help! I just saw a giant fireball fly over the house.
Aye.
So, phone the police?
Get off the phone. Stop winding me up. That's what my mum would do.
Yeah. I'm at work, go away.
Stop telling stories. Okay, number 5.
Number 5
is called In the Attic. I used to live in a house that was built on old farmland. I slept in a bedroom that had no door, except for the door leading up to the attic, which had a little sliding lock on it. So she doesn't have a door, like, coming in. It's just an arch. But the door to the attic is in her room.
Got you.
That has a sliding lock on it. With me?
With you.
Every single night, I'd close the door to the attic and lock it. The attic frequently had birds and such get into it, and I didn't feel like having them fly out into my room. Understandable.
Fair.
Except, every single morning, it would be unlocked and slightly ajar.
Oh.
During the night, I'd wake up and have sleep paralysis. It was pretty frequent and I got used to it. During said sleep paralysis, a figure would open up the door and slip out. All black, sort of shadowy, and wearing what I can only describe as a farmer's hat. It would stare at me for a moment. Just stare. Sometimes it would take a step over before turning and walking out the entrance to my bedroom, which lacked a door, but I had set up some beads. They would knock together. I can still hear it to this day. I'd always been told I had an overactive imagination. I never spoke of it to my parents or family since they probably make fun of me. But one summer, my cousin came to visit. She took over my room since my family thought she deserved a larger room for whatever reason. She came down for breakfast in the morning, white as a sheet, and said I could have my room back. When my mother asked why, she told her she'd had sleep paralysis and saw basically what I had been seeing.
Oh.
And I had never spoken to her of this. Years later, once we'd moved out of the house, my mother told me something. Her bedroom was on the same hallway as mine, and she always slept with the door open. She told me some nights she'd wake up just to see a figure pass by my room really quickly.
Ooh. A three-way confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
The bit that freaked me out was the mum seeing the figure.
Yeah. That's weird. And they're like not having communicated it.
Well, I could understand doing that.
No, not that she didn't, just that it hadn't been.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, I get why she as a parent wouldn't tell her child that.
Yeah. You just freak the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
Having that much frequent sleep paralysis must have been horrendous.
I know, but was it sleep paralysis?
Oh, well, that's the question.
If her mum saw it,
yeah,
that would suggest that it's not.
Spook paralysis.
Because other people wouldn't be able to see what you see when you have sleep paralysis.
Ooh, chills. Ooh.
I'm getting you good tonight.
I know. Well, my last story. I haven't told. This house is haunted.
Ooh. Promises.
I've saved my ghosties for last. It's a bit of a longer one, so bear with me. About 5 years and 2 boyfriends ago, I moved into an old farmhouse with my then significant other. He was a hoarder and was embarrassed about the state his house was in after his wife left him. He had an RV and that's where he slept, because there was just shit, garbage, clothes, boxes, up to your knees in every room of the house. Me, being extremely distressed by clutter, cleaned that house. Down to cobwebby corners of the ceiling, it took me weeks, but I Murphy-oiled every inch of wood, filled his truck with over 10 loads of garbage. The very first night I was there, things were weird. At that point, I had only cleared part of the living room. The boyfriend snored unbearably loud, so I opted to sleep inside, on the couch, while he slept out in his camper. I had just had a fight with my mother, and was lying awake around 4 a.m, fuming about it. I heard my boyfriend come in the back door, muttering to himself as usual. He was opening and closing drawers and cabinets in the kitchen. Figured he was searching for something. Finally, I got up because hell, I was already awake. Maybe I could help him find whatever it was. The kitchen was 5 feet from where I was, and when I walked in, there was no one there. I looked around and called for him, but he wasn't there. I don't get scared easily, and at this point I was just curious about where he was. I went out to the camper and could hear him snoring hard before I even got to the door. I shook him awake, and I asked him gently what he had needed in the house. He said he hadn't left the camper all night. I thought, he was sleepwalking. When I went back inside, though, I noticed it had snowed lightly in the night, and the only tracks leading up to the camper were mine.
Ooh, creepy.
A couple of days later, I moved my 2 cats in. They are super on edge, a lot of growling, acting out of character, especially in the middle of the night. I completely dismissed that, as it was a new, unfamiliar place. Obviously, they were uncomfortable. I'd finally gotten the bedroom habitable, and they would not cross the threshold into it. The first night we slept in the bedroom was when I started to fear the house. The bed was up against the window that faced out to the cornfield, and my gut insisted on sleeping on the outside of the bed, leaving me pressed against the window. I got this horrible feeling. Something was right outside the window, and I was frantic to the point of tears. I kept telling him there was something out there, and he said I was being dramatic, which was stupid, because I'm just not. You spend your whole life being logical and calm, and when something weird happens, no one believes you. I slept on the couch. The next day, I noticed a handprint on the top of the bedroom window that I'd just cleaned the day prior. I held my hand up to it, and it was thrice the size of my own hand, bigger than any person's handprint I've ever seen. It wasn't just a print, though. It was elongated, as if someone had dragged their hand down the window. Still could be an explanation, even though I had cleaned the window the day before and would have noticed, except the print was over 9 feet off the ground, directly over an open coal cellar.
Skinwalker.
I showed my boyfriend, and he told me something surprising. His ex-wife thought there was something wrong with the house too. She was making dinner one day, and he had gotten home from work. Her back was turned to him, and they had a full conversation. Then she looked out the window and saw him pull up in his truck.
That's a skinwalker. That's a skinwalker. Don't tell me that's a skin. Oh my god, they need leave. Oh.
He still blew it off with me, just telling me I was paranoid and such. All this time, I assumed he was right, dismissed my instincts, and went about things normally. Then one morning in the spring, I got up to use the bathroom. It was 4:46 in the morning, and I knew the time because I checked my phone when I got up. The whole bedroom was light from the sunrise, and I quietly climbed back into bed. The house has all wooden panelling, and because of my arachnophobia, I had the bed scooted about 5 inches away from the wall where our heads were. I laid down and tucked my arm up under the pillow with my hand over the edge. The second I closed my eyes, an icy cold hand grabbed me by my wrist and yanked down. Hard. I bolted up and in a state of complete terror shook my boyfriend awake and asked if he was fucking with me. He wasn't. I will never forget that grip because I had to struggle to get my hand back. I called my close friend and then she said, "You know there's a cemetery within view of your bedroom, right?" I had forgotten, but being a practical person, it never occurred to me that there might be a connection. She said, "Let's try something." Came over with a sagebrush and we
burn the house down.
Came over with a sagebrush and we smudged the house. We were both laughing at ourselves as we did it, but the thing is, nothing weird happened after that. Well, except me falling into a hole in the floor, but I blame this on my own clumsiness. The relationship withered, I moved out, but we remain friends. He says nothing strange has happened since I left.
Oh my god. That's so creepy.
Spooky, right?
Oh. Something in that graveyard.
Something in that graveyard. It read a bit creepypasta to me. I don't know. It was on someone telling true stories, but I don't know.
Oh god. That was creepy. That was a really good one.
It was a good one.
Good job.
It was the, smeared handprint that got me.
Well, that's what makes me think skinwalker.
What's a skinwalker?
It's I think it's from Native American culture, initially. They believe in skinwalkers, that they can, make themselves look like people, but they're not. I would need to do more research to explain, but I think they're quite big and very, very creepy.
Mm-hmm. The hand, though, that's horrible. What the fuck?
Oh, I'm creeped out now.
Can you imagine doing that to me? Then maybe being stop being ridiculous.
I think I'd slap you.
Slap me with a nice hand.
If you told me to stop being dramatic and stop being silly, and I was that upset, I would be very angry.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't slap you.
No.
You get the sentiment.
Spooky, right?
Oh, that's really spooky. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Okay, I have one more. And it's called Not My Face.
Not my face.
I was about 12 years old and woke up in the middle of the night needing to pee. I walked across the hall to the little bathroom, hit the lights, and was about to reach for the toilet when I glanced up and saw a face in the mirror. But it was not my face. It was as if someone was on the other side, standing to the right, with their face right next to the glass, staring at me. I only saw it for the briefest moment, but it is seared into my brain. I screamed and ran out of there to find my dad. Of course, my dad investigated and then calmed me down, or tried to. Eventually, we had a prayer session because I was so freaked out. Eventually, I must have gone back to sleep. Fast forward to my 30s. I'd forgotten all about the event. One night, while visiting, my dad quietly brings it up. Remember that one time you saw a face in the mirror? It suddenly came back to me in a rush of memory, sending a chill down my spine. Yeah, I remember. Well, he said, I sometimes think about that night. He looked down at the floor with a really serious expression. I saw it too. He went on to describe exactly what I'd seen, and we have no idea what that was. Apparently, when he investigated, he saw it and had a freak out of his own. Apparently, the prayer session was as much for his own nerves as it was for mine. I respect him for keeping that tidbit from me till my 30s, but I kinda wish he'd never told me.
Oh, that's creepy. That's very creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Dads don't lose their cool.
I know.
Dads don't make up stories unless they're funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had something kind of similar to that happen to me once. In our old flat, the small one. I went to the bathroom one night and I looked in the mirror and it was a mirror, so it was me, but I didn't recognise myself. Because I was because it was quite a long bathroom. So I went past the bathroom window, glanced at myself, and then looked away. Then went for pee and went, that was weird. And then I went back, and I think I was having a panic attack or something. So I think, I can't remember, but I had to I was in the mirror and I was pressing my nose and stuff and pressing my face.
I remember you telling me about this now.
Yeah, because I just it was my face. I just didn't believe it was my face. Because I was pulling your eyes down and I think my eyes were quite bloodshot as they tend to be at night. And just smooshing at my face and just getting really angry. Because I'm that's your face, what's wrong with you? I'm no, who the fuck, who's in the mirror?
Oh my god.
That was weird.
Oh my god, that's so creepy.
But yeah, I think I then just had a panic attack.
Were you maybe, kind of dreaming?
Yeah, I don't know. I was, sleepwalking, just hallucinating, because it was just my normal face. When I think about it, well, you're just looking at yourself in the mirror.
Well, but what if you weren't?
No, but I was just
And we lived there for,
yeah.
2 years?
Something like that.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was pretty weird.
God.
But it wasn't, because I was I think this has happened to me. But it was, it moved with me and stuff. It wasn't, off-centre. Or there wasn't something else there as well.
But what if it wasn't your face?
I was just freaking out. No, well, because it was, I remember it. It was my face.
Maybe you're not a ham sandwich.
Oh, maybe. I just see these things, I'm nah.
See if I saw that in the middle of the night.
Well,
I think I would cry.
It's not because I didn't see it, because I could just see my face. It was just...
Even just having that experience.
Yeah, it was really weird.
I think I would cry. I'm not too proud to admit it.
Yeah.
In fear, I think I would just cry full tears.
I don't remember what I did after, because I came back to bed and I think woke you up and Eilidh, can you just check this is my face real quick?
Well, I remember you telling me about it. I didn't remember until you described poking at your face, because I remember you telling me that you were doing that.
Yeah, I was smooshing at my cheeks and stuff.
I must have genuinely just put it out of my mind.
Nope.
Just no,
yeah.
Can't take this.
I was very stressed at the time. I was starting my business out.
Maybe stress?
Yeah, I feel it was stress. Stress related, certainly. But really weird, regardless.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh, God, I wasn't expecting that.
Oh. Some real life spooking.
Oh, this was really fun.
This was really fun.
Thank you for doing this with me.
You're very welcome. We hope you enjoyed.
Yes, whenever we post this, wherever we post this, I hope you enjoyed listening.
Yeah.
It's a very different pace for us.
Our normal programming will resume at some point.
Yeah. We'll speak to you soon.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.